Shalom. I'm Officer Judea here at One Nation Israelite School. It's regular, as always, scheduled Monday class. Tonight it's the men's class. The title of the class, I love my wife. Or do I? I know a lot of brothers think that they love their wives, but do you really love your wife? Do you really love your wife? Something to ponder on. Let's go through the scriptures and examine. Do you love your wife? This, as you know, the men and the women's classes that I do on Mondays, you got Problems 31 Women. That's a women's class where we go over scriptures to help the women to be better housekeepers, better wives, to fall in subjection, things that help them get into the kingdom, things that pertain to them. And then in the men's section, we do the things that pertain to us men that get us into the kingdom and how to deal with our wives, how we can be better husbands, how we can be better providers and such. So tonight's class is the class to get on the men. And the topic is, I love my wife. Or do I? So with no further ado, let's get into the class. Let's send us some prayers and then we'll get right into the class. Give me a second, let me mute this TV and then we'll send up the prayers. Alrighty, so now let's send up the prayers. Thank you, Father God, for another day, another night. Thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for all your blessings. Forgive us for all our sins, known and unknown. Give us the strength to overcome the demons that we fight on a day-to-day basis. Give us the strength to overcome the thorn, to be able to remove the thorn that sits in our side that we keep falling victims to. Father God, bless our households, bless our families, touch our wives, put our children into subjection, touch the men that they may be the leaders that they need to be, that you ordained us to be, so we can go out and recover the nation. Father God, as we dive into your words, seeking out knowledge, Father God, I pray that you give us understanding, that we may be able to draw something from it and apply it to our day-to-day lives. Father God, we thank you for the jobs, for the jobs. Even though we endure even though we endure much oppression and mistreatment, Father God, you made a way. You didn't say it was going to be easy, but you made a way for us to be able to sustain ourselves. And Father God, I ask that you give us the mind and helping hands to come together to build the businesses where we may not have to depend on the oppressor so much in this captivity. But Father God, through all things we give you glory and joy. We give you the glory, the praise, and the honor. We praise thy name with joy. And Father God, we ask that you touch our minds, gird us up, build us over, help us to be better husbands, and help the wives to be better wives. In your Son Christ's name, we give you the glory and the praise and the honor. Amen. All right. So let's get right into it. No further ado. The title of the class, I love my wife. Or do I? All right. So now, to find out, do we love our wives? We have to correlate through the scriptures. A lot of people think they love their wives, but you'll come to see that in the scriptures, according to the scriptures, no, you actually don't love your wife. And I know it's easy for me to say that, and you'll just say, if I say you don't love your wife, you'll just say, you can't tell me I love my wife. So instead of me telling you, let's go through the scriptures and correlate, and let's see if you love your wife. Or if you don't. All right? So now let's get right into it. No further ado, let's start at the beginning. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. You men, let's go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. Sisters, follow along. You can learn something in this class too. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7. And it reads, And the Lord formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostril the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So the Most High built him. He formed man from the dust of the ground. So this is the creation of the man. All right. So now let's jump down to verse 21. And the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept, and took he And he took one of his ribs, and he closed up his flesh, and spared thereof. So the Most High took a rib out of the man. We know it talks about Adam, but your rib is your wife. So the Most High took your rib from you and closed up your flesh. Verse 22, and the rib which the Lord had taken from man, he made a woman, and brought her unto the man. So the Most High took a rib from you, closed your flesh, and from that rib he formed a woman for you, which is now your wife. Verse 23. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she is taken out of man. So the part that I wanted out of there, when he said, this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, she's your wife. So she is of you. That's why her name is woman, because she comes out of man. So your wife specifically came from you. That is your rib that the Most High took from you and formed this woman to be for you. She is of you. So when he said, this is flesh of my flesh, you can understand why the scriptures would then come back in Ephesians and say, let's go to Ephesians, when it says basically to love. Let's get a scripture. So she's of you. Your wife is the rib that was formed, is your missing rib that was formed, and she has been brought unto you as your wife, right? So flesh of your flesh, bone of your bone, bone of your bone, flesh of your flesh, bone of your bone, however you want to quote it. Watch this, Ephesians 5 and 28. We're going to Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 28. So if she is of you, she's your flesh, and bone of your bone, then you can fully understand why the scripture says this. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 28. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. So listen to the way that scripture started off. So ought man to love their wives as their own body. So she's your flesh of your flesh and bone of your bone. That's why the scripture says to love your wives as your own body, because your wife was formed from your rib. So you have to love her as if you loving your own body. Right. Now watch this. It says, so ought men to love their wives. So the way this verse starts is comparing the way you're supposed to love your wife. It's comparing the way that you're supposed to love your wife. The question is, to what? To what is it comparing your love to? To what is this comparing your love to? Let's jump up to verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. So it's telling you to love your wife as Christ loved the church. So it was comparing your love. It was saying, it was comparing your love to the love. It was comparing the love that you should have to your wife to the love that Christ had for the church. How much love did Christ have for the church? So much that he died for the church. Right? So much that he died for the church. So likewise are you when it comes to your wife. You are to protect your wife, and if push comes to shove, you are to die for her. The same way Christ loved the church. Now let's jump back down to verse 28. It says, so as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it, so ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. Why would it say he that loveth his wife loveth himself? Because your wife is of you. Remember, she is the rib that was taken from you and was formed, and she was given unto you. So you are to love your wife as you love your own body, and he that loveth his wife loveth himself, right? Verse 29. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh. Now, it says no man ever yet hated his own flesh. Now, I should switch that and say no righteous man. No righteous man has ever hated his own flesh. And when that comes out, you would say, how? How? No man has ever hated, no, let's read that again. Verse 29, for no man ever yet hated his own flesh. How do you prove that? Well, how? How does a man love himself? One, you feed yourself, you dress yourself, you don't allow yourself to be talked to any kind of way, you don't mistreat yourself, you don't curse yourself, you don't slap yourself, you don't beat yourself, nor do you let yourself lack the things needed, and every now and then you treat yourself, right? Likewise are ye to be with your wives. Likewise are you to be with your wives. Likewise are you to be with your wives. If you love your wife as you love yourself, and that no man has hated his flesh, you're going to make sure you provide for your wife. You're going to protect your wife. You're going to feed your wife. You're going to treat your wife. You're going to do the things necessary to keep that woman. You're going to basically let's read the end of this verse. Verse 29. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourished it and cherished it, even as the Lord the church. Now, I want to show you something about nourishing real quick. Let's go, because there's three chief things in life to nourish something. Three chief things. Let's get those real quick. The three chief things that a man ought to be providing for his wife, if you love her. Sirach chapter 29 and verse 21. Sirach chapter 29 verse 21, Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 29 and the 21st verse. And it reads, the chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and house to cover shame. So if you love your wife, you are supposed to be making sure you are providing water, bread, clothing, and house to cover shame, right? So now let's go back to Ephesians chapter 5 verse 29 again. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourished it and cherished it, even as the Lord the church, right? So now, let's define this word real quick. Let's define this word. I want to make sure we all get this. Let's define this word cherish. Well, which word was first? Let's do this one. We're going to define nourish first. To nourish something. It says, provide with food or substance necessary for growth, health, and good condition. Feed, sustain, maintain. Synonym, cherish. Okay, so now let's define cherish. Protect and care for someone lovingly. It says to revere, admire, treasure, prize, right? So now, when we take those definitions into account, but it says to nourish and to cherish. You know what else you do when you love her? If you love your wife, you know what else you'll do? You want to know another way of nourishing something? You teach it. If you love your wives, you'll teach your wives, right? You know what I'm saying? You'll teach her. You'll teach your wife. As a fact, let's go to, because now we know that you are to provide. We know that you are to protect. But if you love your wife, you must ask yourself, are you teaching your wife? Because let's get the scripture. Let's go to 1 Peter real quick. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 5. Because this is also a part of nourishing. When you nourish something, you feed it, you protect it, you clothe it. But you also teach that thing to go in the right way. So now let's see. Let's go. It's important that you teach your wives. Let's see why. Let's go to 1 Peter real quick. 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 7. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor to the wife, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. So let's go back to the top of this verse real quick. Let's read this again. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. So the scriptures say to dwell with your wives according to knowledge. So now what we got to do is let's find out what knowledge is. Let's go to Malachi chapter 2 verse 7 real quick. Malachi chapter 2 verse 7. It's all about finding out, do you really love your wives? Malachi chapter 2 verse 7. And it reads, for the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts. So the scriptures say that knowledge is the laws. So now when you go back to 1 Peter 3 and 7, it starts to make sense now. It says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with her according to the laws. So you dwell with your wife according to the laws, right? So now when you take that into account, dwell with your wife according to the laws. But it's something else in Malachi 2 and 7 that I want to heap on. Notice that in Malachi 2 and 7 it says the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his lips. Well, think about this. In your house, who's the priest? In your house, who is the priest? It would be you. So in so many words, what is it telling you? It's telling you to teach your wife. As a fact, watch this. Watch this. Let's go to the scripture. I'm going to show you that you're supposed to be teaching your wife. This scripture sum it up. Now, the scripture we're going to read, a lot of problems, 31 women and Jezebel spirited women, they hate this scripture. They hate these scriptures. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and let's get verse 35. Let's get right to the point. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 35. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for the woman to speak in the church. So a lot of problem 31 women and Jezebel spirited women, they hate that scripture because it's telling you that the woman cannot speak in church. So I don't know how the woman's going to teach in the church. I'm not just going to teach when she ain't supposed to. It says it is a shame for the woman to speak in the church. So it's a shame for her to speak in the church. And the scripture says, if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home. What is that telling you? It's telling you your job is to teach your wife. You have to teach your wife. And let them ask their husband at home. So you have to learn. When you have to teach your wife, now you have to learn, you have to apply, and then you have to teach your wife. Think about it. Think about this. Think about it in this sense. Who wants a loudmouth, out of order, non-God-fearing, stupid wife? Who wants that? Nobody. What you need to remember, when you marry this woman, when you marry a person, when you marry this person, you're going to spend your whole life, with this, you're going to spend the rest of your life with this woman that you call your wife. She going to run the home when you gone. She going to raise your children. She going to teach your children. She got to be an example to your daughters if you just so happen to have a daughter. You don't want some shameless dummy to take on those type of responsibilities. So as a man, it would behoove you to teach your wife according to the laws, right? Watch this. As a fact, because a lot of brothers take that for granted. Watch this. This is what you got to understand. You brothers, you have to take the time to educate and teach your wife. You have to love your wife as you love yourself. Lead her mind according to the laws, statutes, and commandments. This woman that you are going to marry is going to be your keeper of your home. This is the keeper of your home. This got to be, y'all have to be able to run this thing together. Why would you then take a woman that you cannot? Why would you take a light woman, a dumb woman, a simple woman, an ungodly woman to run over your house and watch over your children and to teach your children? And it doesn't make sense. If you love your wife, you're going to teach her, right? So watch this, because this is what you have to remember. When you get a wife, let's go to Sirach 36 real quick. Sirach 36 and verse 24. Sirach chapter 36 and verse 24. And it reads, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. Why does it say beginneth a possession? Now, when you get a possession, do you mistreat that possession? Absolutely not. You take care of it. You do your best to keep it in shape. When you get it, I see brothers get new shoes. That's a possession. They wipe them things off every day. I see a brother get a new car. He go out there and wipe that car down every other day. When you get a wife, it is at the beginning of a possession. You're going to nourish and take care of that. You're going to teach it. You're going to direct it in a way that you want to go. That you have to mold that thing into you have to mold your wife into the perfect woman for you. This woman is the beginning of a possession. Why? Because when you get a wife, you're going to get a house. You're going to start making kids. Your name is going to come through the bowels of this woman. You're going to put life into this woman, and she's going to bring forth children. You're beginning a possession, right? Watch this. So it says, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a helpmeet like unto himself. A helpmeet like unto himself. Meaning she should be just like you. The same mind, the same goals. Y'all walk in the same, as a fact, y'all should be walking the same walk, and her mind should be according to your mind. As a fact, but let's get it. Let's go to Sirach 7 and 26 real quick. Sirach 7 and 26. So you brothers, a lot of brothers, you go out there and you just jump and you heap to the first woman that you see that, oh, she got a fat rump, you're attracted to her, and then all of a sudden, years come down the line, and you can't stand her guts no more. You hate her, she hates you, all simply because you didn't get a woman whose mind was after your mind. You didn't get a woman who was just like you. Or you got a woman, and when you had the chance to mold her and shape her and teach her, you neglected those duties. So now your household is hell. Now her mind is nowhere near the laws. Now she lives shamelessly. She don't keep the commandments simply because you didn't love your wife. You didn't love her. You didn't love your wife. If you loved your wife, you'd have taught her according to the laws. And if she would not have heed, you would have never married her. But let's break down that part. Help me like unto himself. All right. So watch this. Let's go to Sirach chapter 7 verse 26. Sirach chapter 7 and verse 26. Hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not. So if you have a wife that is after your mind, you have meaning she is on one accord with you. Her opinion is what you say. Because a woman after your mind will understand that, hey, if you taught her according to the laws and the commandments, hey, I submit to my husband in all things. The scriptures say that my desires is up to my husband and he shall rule over me. So if you took a woman after your mind, or let's say a woman after your mind, if you're a God-fearing man, the woman that you're with should be a God-fearing woman. If you have that, forsake her not. Verse 26 again. Hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not. But give not thyself over to a light woman. A light woman is a simple woman, stupid woman, sinful woman. Okay? Let's go back to what we was, 36 and 24. Sirach 36 and 24. So, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a helpmeet like unto himself, and a pillar of rest, and a pillar of rest, and a pillar of rest. Well, what you have to understand, a pillar is a support beam. That pillar, you see some people, they got those houses and they got them two big poles and it's holding up the roof. That's a pillar. Your pillar is a support system. Your pillar is your support, your backup. That's your support. Okay? And it says a pillar of rest. Rest is relaxation or comfort. So she's a support. She is a support and a comfort to you. And to get that, You got to fine tune that. To get a wife that is a pillar of rest, when you get this woman, you have to fine tune that. You have to shape it. You have to mold it and teach it. Teach it. Teach that into being there. You understand? You meet a woman. You and your wife, you're two totally different people. You're trying to twain and make your flesh one. How do you get there? It ain't gonna just happen overnight. She ain't gonna just meet you and say, hey, bam. No. The way to get there, this has to be the foundation. These have to be the foundation. Together, this Bible has to be the foundation. And it starts by teaching her. It starts by teaching her. If you want that pillar of rest, that support and comfort, which is what the wife is supposed to be unto you, you have to fine-tune that and teach it. You have to instruct that. Of course, now, what you have to understand is, with this, you also have to lead by an example. You can't hound on to your woman and tell her she need to be doing this and doing that and fearing God and doing this, and then she's living with the most ungodly nigga in the world. So what it's telling you, you have to be an example. You brothers have to be an example. You have to lead by example first. That's why I said you have to learn, apply, then teach. All right, so now watch this. Let's go to, I want to keep that thought fresh in mind. Let's read Sirach 36 and 24 one more time. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. He beginneth a possession. Why? Because your family takes on your name. That is a possession. A possession. It runs your name. The wife that you get, when you get a wife, you're beginning the possession because you're starting to build a lineage. You're building your name. All right. So now, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. A helpmeet like unto himself, a woman that is after thy mind, a woman that is a God-fearing woman who's keeping the commandments, who understands her duty is to serve and support and comfort her husband, right? And a pillar of rest. All right. So now, to get that, once again, I'm gonna say it one more time. To get that, you have to fine tune that. You have to shape that. You have to mold that. You have to instruct that. For that, as a fact, watch this. Let's go to watch this. Let's go to Sirach 26 real quick. Sirach 26 and 14. Sirach chapter 26 and verse 14. Sirach chapter 26 and verse 14. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. There's nothing better than a mind that's well instructed. You have to instruct her mind after the laws and commandments. That's what it's telling you. You have to instruct her mind after God's laws and commandments. So now, how do you do that? I mean, so now you need to now you have to stop and ask yourself, well, damn. Do I love my wife? Do I love my wife? Do I really love my wife? Think about it. Now when you ask yourself that, now you have to be honest. Are you applying Ephesians 5 and 28? Let's go back there. Are you applying Ephesians 5 and 28? Let's read it. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 28. So ought man to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. So it says, do you love your wife as you love yourself? Are you providing for your wives like you would provide for yourself? Because I see some brothers, I see it all the time. Some of you brothers, you walk down a road and you clean as hell. Brand new J's on, the high designer jeans, the freshest shirt to go with it, fat chain around your neck, and then your girl come outside, she got on some freaking Payless flip-flops and a dress that she had before she got with you or whatever. And I'm like, dude, this brother walking down the street clean as hell and his girl look like she barely hanging in there. Some of you brothers, you be going out there, when you hanging out in the streets, you're eating real good meals, and then your wife, you take your girl, she got to eat off the dollar menu at McDonald's. Are you loving your wife like you love yourself? Are you loving your wife like you love yourself? Are you brothers going to work providing for your wives? Do you keep a roof over her head, or is she still staying at her mama's house? Or y'all going from pillar to post? As a fact, you got a place. Meanwhile, she's staying at her mama's house, and you go pick up when you want to. Are you loving your wife as you really supposed to? Are you loving your wife as you love yourself? Ask yourself, do you really love your wife? Watch this. Watch this real quick. Let me see something. Remember, when you love yourself, you love your wife as you love yourself. That's big. That's key. You want to know why? Because you brothers. I was just talking about how you dress yourself up. You treat yourself. You get clean every now and then. You like, hey man, I had a long week. I'm finna go get fresh and I'm finna go reward myself. I'm finna go sit down somewhere and have me a couple of drinks or whatever the thing, whatever it may be. I'm finna hang out. You treat yourself when you feel like you deserve it, right? Do you do that? Do you treat your wife every once in a while when she do? To let her know you appreciate everything she do for you? Do you apply this right here? 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 32. 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 32. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried carry for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. Do you apply that? Do you care for the things that may please your wife? Are you applying that? Are you loving your wife as you love yourself? Think about things think about things in the world that would please your wife. How about going to a dinner? How about candlelight dinners? How about roses every once in a blue moon? How about taking her out to dinner every once in a while? How about taking her to the movie? How about hanging out with her? Women like to take pictures or whatever. How about taking pictures with her? You know, do you consider the things, the way you would treat yourself every once in a while, do you do those same things for your wife? Do you? Ask yourself, do you really love your wife then? As a fact, what's another one? Let's go to Colossians. I want to see, do you brothers really love your wives? Do you apply this? Do you apply this? Some of you brothers, you probably guilty of this right here. Colossians chapter 3 verse 19. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 19. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. So it says, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Love your wives and be not bitter against them. Be not bitter towards them, meaning harsh, evil, mean-spirited. Are you brothers applying that? Or are you the ones who you say you love your wife? Are you mean to your wife? Are you mean-spirited? Are you evil in your doings? You do things intentionally to set her off? Are you mean-spirited, evil, or harsh? Do you speak to your wife in harsh manners, things that you say hurtful things to her? Do you call out her name when you get upset? Do you physically abuse her? You one of them brothers who can't control yourself, you put your hands on her behind closed doors? Are you that type of dude? Because scripture say what? Once again, husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Bitter breaks down to harsh, evil, mean-spirited, physically or verbally. I hope you brothers are not, especially not being physical with your wives, but to even be harsh with them. Just the way you speak to them, the things you say to them, the way you set them up. Are you guilty of this? Can you eliminate being guilty of Colossians 3 and 19, being harsh with your wives, physical, churlish, evil, mean-spirited? Can you do that? If so, ask yourself, do you love your wife? Because the Bible gives you the Bible said to love your wives as you love yourself. You wouldn't slap the shit out yourself. And see you cursing yourself out, calling yourself stupid and all types of MFers and bitchs and hoes and all that stuff, but you brothers, you get mad and you say these things to your wives, but then you'll turn around and say, I love my wife. Do you really love your wife? Because the Bible gave us a simple way to learn how to deal. Watch this, Matthew 7 and 12. This is the easiest way to stop yourself from being in violation of Colossians 3 and 19. Matthew 7 and 12. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 12. And it reads, Therefore all things, whatsoever ye would that man should do to you, do ye even to them. So do ye even to them. For this is the law and the prophets. So treat your woman the way you would want to be treated. Let's take this into account. Imagine if it was your daughter. If you had a daughter and she was married off to a man, when he get mad, would you want him calling your daughter the bitch words? Would you want him punching your daughter in the face, kicking her in her stomach? Would you want him slapping her around? Would you like for him to treat her the same way? That's doing to men as you would have him do unto you. That's telling you, treat the woman you married to the same way you would want a man to treat your daughter. The same way you would want to see a dude treat your mother, your little sister. Those things. You treat a woman, if you do unto all men as you would have them do unto you, you would treat that woman the same way you would want to see people treat the women in your family. That's as simple as a breakdown as I can give it to you. Right? Okay, so now watch this. So do you love your wives? Do you love your wives? Well, let's go to 2 John real quick. What is love? Let's get 2 John verse 6. What is love? What is love? What is love? 2 John verse 6. And it reads, And this is love, that we walk after the commandments. This is the commandment, that ye, as ye, Salakia, let me read that over. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye should walk in it. So the scriptures say, this is love, that we walk after the commandments. So if you love your wives, you're going to make sure she's keeping the commandments. If you love your wife, you're going to make sure she's keeping the commandments. And that means correcting her. Correcting your wife. As a fact, watch this. Let's go to, because I know some of you brothers have a problem with that. Do you correct your wife? Do you love your wife enough to correct her, to stop her from having herself put to death? To stop her from destroying herself? Do you care that much? Or are you one of them brothers who trimming your ways? Because if you're not correcting her, I'm going to tell you straight up, that's not love, that's hatred. Remember, the scriptures say you ought to teach your wife and direct her mind according to the laws of the Most High God. Right? So watch this. Let's go to 2 Timothy 3 and 16 real quick. All scripture is given by the inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. Right? So now, do you love your wife? Are you correcting your wife? Are you instructing your wife according to righteousness? If not, watch this. Let's go to Leviticus 19 and 17. Do you love your wife or do you hate her? Because if you're not correcting her and instructing her according to righteousness, then you hate her. Thus saith the Lord. Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother. Let's plug in wife. Thou shalt not hate thy wife in thine heart. Salakia. And thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy wife, and not suffer sin upon her. So you shall rebuke thy wife, meaning correct your wife, and not suffer sin upon her, meaning don't allow her to commit sin. So now, do you love your wife or do you hate her? Because Are you allowing sin upon your wife? Are you allowing your wife to destroy herself? For example, Deuteronomy 22 and 5. Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 5. And it reads, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man. Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. So a man should not put on a woman's garment. What's a woman's garment? Dresses, skirts, pantyhose, makeup, hair, wigs, and all that foolishness. A man not supposed to put that on. So then what is the man's garment? Pants, jeans, shorts. If that's the case, knowing that, because most Israelites already know that women are not supposed to wear pants. So if you love your wife, or do you love your wife or do you hate your wife? Do you let your woman wear pants knowing that you can get, watch this, let's go to Zephaniah. I'm going to show you why I say you hate her. If you allow your woman to wear pants and you know the laws, I'm going to show you why I say you hate her. Zephaniah chapter, well, you hate her because you suffer sin upon her, meaning you allow her to sin. You permit sin amongst her. Now, let's go to Zephaniah chapter 1 and verse 8. This is why I say you hate her. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice that I will punish the princes and the king's children and all that are clothed and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. So the Most High said, I'm going to kill everyone that's in strange apparel, meaning strange clothing. If a man was wearing a dress, wouldn't that be strange clothing? Absolutely. So if a woman is wearing pants, that is what? Strange clothing. You know the law says your woman is not supposed to wear pants. Would you rebuke your woman, or do you trim your waist and let your woman wear pants because she liked the way she look in pants? If so, you hate your wife. Why? Because the Bible just told you the Most High is going to kill her behind that. So you are actually sitting back and allowing your wife to go down a road where she will be destroyed. You're going to allow her to destroy herself simply because she liked the way she looked. Or you like the way she looked. Or you don't love her enough to correct her. You don't love your wife if that's the case. You hate her. Okay, so now let's do another one. Let's go to... Let's think about this. When you go out to eat, some of y'all, you know, are you that brother that's trimming your waist? Are you the brother that's guilty of this? Jeremiah 2 and 33. Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 33. Are you the husband that's guilty of this? It says, why trimmest thy ways to seek love? Therefore thou hast also taught the wicked ones thy ways. So are you the brother that's guilty of trimming your ways? And when I say that, the scenario is when you go out to eat, you know the dietary law says no pork, no shrimp, no crabs, none of that foolishness. Any fish you eat, no catfish. Any fish that you eat need to have fins and scales. You know what I'm saying? You know that law. You know that she don't supposed to be eating pork. You know she don't supposed to be eating, for the country folks, raccoon and squirrel and all that other stuff. You know that she not supposed to eat that. Are you the brother that you know your wife ain't supposed to be eating shrimp and ribs, but because she liked the way it tastes, you gonna trim your ways and pay for it anyways? Are you that brother that sit there and watch your wife order the abominations and you know she's not supposed to be eating it? But because you love her, you claim you, because you say you love her, you think you love her, or because of the way she wants it and she likes the way it tastes, you'll sit there and you'll suffer that sin along her. You'll permit her to eat it. You'll permit her, and you'll actually pay the bill for that. If so, you don't love your wife. You want to know why? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 65. Isaiah 66, I'm sorry. Isaiah 66. Verse 17. Isaiah 66 and 17. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abominations and the mouse shall be consumed together, thus saith the Lord. How will they be consumed? For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slaying of the Lord shall be many. So, once again, I say you hate that. You don't love your wife if you're doing that. You actually hate her because you know the law says that she shouldn't be eating the abomination. And you'll take her out to eat and you'll trim your waist and buy it and let her eat it just because she likes it, knowing that God is going to kill her in the end. You don't love your wife if that's what you're doing. You don't love your wife. And some of you let your wife cook that Sunday dinner or whatever the dinner occasion may be, and then you let her cook those abominations in your house. You don't love your wife. You hate her if that's the case. Matter of fact, do you put your wife in check when she gets out of line? Do you remind her that the scriptures say, when she gets out of the spirit with you, when she gets upset, do you remind her, hey, sister, hey, baby, look, the Bible says, submit yourself unto me as unto the Lord in everything. In everything. Do you pull that scripture and let her know? Do you put her back in line, or are you the brother just, all right, whatever? If so, you hate your wife. Finally, period. Do you check or correct your wife, period, when she does anything unrighteously? When she do anything unrighteous, do you put her in check? If not, you hate her because you're allowing her to be an abomination unto the Most High God. I'm going to say it again. If you even allow your wife to do anything that's unrighteous, you hate her because you're allowing her to be an abomination unto the Most High God. Let's prove that. Deuteronomy 25. Deuteronomy chapter 25 and verse 16. Deuteronomy chapter 25 and verse 16. And it reads, for all that do things and all that do unrighteously are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. So the Most High said, for anybody that's doing anything that's unrighteous, they are an abomination unto him. An abomination is something that the Most High hates. And we know that all abominations shall not inherit the kingdom. They shall be put to death. So if you're not correcting your wife when she's going off, you don't love her. You hate her, knowing that because you're deliberately letting her destroy herself, knowing that the Most High is going to put her to death. So the point of the whole class was, do you really love your wife? I love my wife. Or do I? I love my wife, or do I? You ought to love your wife as you love yourself. Remember, the Most High compared the love that you're supposed to have for your wife as unto the love that he had for the church. How much did he love the church? So much that he died for the church. So much that he died for the church. So that's why in Genesis it said, love, she is the flesh of my flesh, she's bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, because she came from you, your rib. The Most High formed a woman that was for you. This woman is supposed to be just like you. That's why the Bible say in Sirach 7:26, hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not, and give not thyself to a like woman. The woman that you are with, this woman was ordained for you from the beginning. But it's up to you to do your job as the man, to love your wife, to make her the woman she's supposed to be. You have to love your wife into being the woman she's supposed to be. And the way you ain't gonna get there by abusing her physically or verbally. You want to get there by applying this. Applying the Bible and not trimming thy ways. Alright, so with that, I'm going to close it out right there tonight. I pray that the class was edifying. Lord's will, I have you view me. We have you in the next viewing. I pray that this class was edifying. And with that, I'm going to say shalom. Thanks for joining us tonight's class. I love my wife. Or do I? So now, brothers, examine yourselves. Examine yourselves. Remember, another way for you to know if you love your wife, are you treating her the way that you would want somebody to treat your daughter, your mother, your sister? If not, you don't love your wife. Stop being harsh with these women. The Bible says, dwell with them according to knowledge. The knowledge is God's laws. Dwell with your wife according to God's laws. Teach your wives. Treat your wives. Love your wives. All right? So with that, I say shalom.
savior. But one thing that I ain't do, came out of that water. Now ain't nothing I can't do. Left what I used to be in, now be in. That's brand new. Don't go nowhere without my wife. So when I went in the water, she came too. Now everything seemed clearer that I was looking at from a distance. 10 years of filthy sin got washed away in an instance. Now we all in the same boat, but we ain't going no fishing. Yeah, I believe in Christ, but no, I ain't no Christian. If you ain't trying to hear it, I try not to waste too much time on them. Even in the darkness, my Israelite shine on them. So glad that I fell in love before I was out of time. Went in the water, John boy, but I came out, you wanna thine. Yeah, I told my old stuff that he leaving. Yeah, I told my old stuff that he leaving. But before you leave, make sure you do some cleaning. Cause I got a new me on receiving.